And what's up, everybody? We are back consistently at Consistent Sports. We are back in here doing it. We got a twosome today. It is
We
me
bet.
and the league leader, top of the table, my boy, Layton Markwood. You got 30 seconds. I got 30 seconds to you at the top. Just take it.
It's been a long time since I've been at the top. I have been dead last pretty much the last two regular seasons. Luckily, didn't finish in last year in the playoffs. And I think I'm ready to come back and chase the glory that I used to get, the good old days of being a champion.
Now, your squad, I'm a bit envious, but at the same time, I feel like my team any week can beat anyone. But the problem is, I feel like they're constantly fighting themselves. Like, I got Deshaun Watson, who is quietly the sixth highest scoring quarterback in fantasy. Like, he'll have what on the outside look like terrible games, and then statistically will fumble his way into like a 25-point game. And I'm just sitting back like, I guess. Like, I think he's gone to overtime twice, so that's added like an extra 10 minutes of point, an extra 20 total minutes of points. So that always helps. And we're seeing a lot of overtime this year too in the NFL, which is crazy that it's come to this, that we're just like, yeah, all right, overtime. We have like an overtime game a week now.
It's expected. You're going to get 2 to 3 overtimes a week, and you might end up with a tie.
I mean, we've had more. We already had 2 ties first 5 weeks.
Should have had probably the Ravens should have tied, and Texans and Colts probably should have tied last week.
But the Colts decision, that's something we could talk about for hours. I mean, that's a fireable offense, in my opinion. But first, I mean, we love the NBA. Let's just keep it real. We'll keep it fresh. This is our jam. Like I love football, but there is no sport that I love the drama, the constant news cycle that the NBA provides. And today was no exception. So Jimmy Butler, if you don't know what's been going on, the man is a top 5 defensive player in the league. In my opinion, a top 25 overall player. I think his offense is vastly worse than his defense. It doesn't match up. And he's asking to be traded to teams who just don't have like his level of trade value to send back. So he's either intentionally trying to screw over Minnesota, which he told 3 of them today to go fuck themselves. Like, there's no other way. He looked Cat in the face and said, "You can't fucking guard me in the paint." And then proceeds to take the second team scrubs.
No, he didn't say you can't guard me. He said you can't beat me. He was playing defense on Cat.
He came out competing.
Yeah.
And he told Cat straight up, you can't. Like, I'm better. Y'all need me to win. Are you a fan of this?
Dude, I'm totally a fan of what Jimmy Butler did today. And I feel like it goes both ways. Like, he's either A, intentionally trying to push and play his way out of Minnesota so that he causes like an ultimate disrupt with Cat and Wiggins and, the young studs that they're trying to build around so that he can get what he inevitably wants, which is to Miami or New York or Brooklyn or the Clippers. But also, there is that rare possibility that he does remain with Minnesota, and a move like what he pulled today can actually bring a locker room together, I think. And I think that's kind of what Woj was saying in one of his tweets, basically saying a lot of the players came out energized and, pretty hype and ready to go about this season after what Butler did in practice, his first practice of the season after missing the first 2 weeks, week and a half.
Right.
And he came out and he took the third stringers, ran the court with the starters, and they whooped their ass.
There was a report that I saw that he dropped 40 in the scrimmage.
I would love to see the video feed.
Someone has that. They video every practice. I mean, they video every play you make in the NBA is on video for you to go back and watch. And So where is it? Like, who?
Tom
what
Thibodeau has
TMZ
it.
person do I need to call to be like, who do you know in Minnesota that we could get a copy of this footage?
I'm telling you, Tibbs has it because Twitter was like, yo, where was Thibodeau today? He probably should have shut this down, gotten Butler out of Wiggs and Cat and kind of away from this. Thibodeau was just eating this up, man. He's like, I love that Jimmy Butler guy. I'm just going to record this and save it for the Spank Bank later.
So here's what we know. At least on report, Karl Anthony Towns said, if y'all are serious about extending me and I'm the franchise, Jimmy's got to go.
Oh, I didn't even read that.
That's what I've heard. That was the report around the first chink in the armor.
Young guy doesn't want to win.
And this is a little more on the scandalous side. I don't like to play the scandals.
Oh, I've seen this one.
Okay. So Bill Simmons, my guy, all right? Bill, if you're watching this one day, as part of my interview process to work at The Ringer in a year and a half, 2 things cause real fights in the NBA. This is one of my favorite quotes. Cards and women. Now, there is a report that Jimmy Butler made a successful move onto Karl Anthony Towns' girlfriend. Now, this is where the fun begins, because if this is real, this is career-ending things. And not in the sense of, like, your playing days are over and you can't do it anymore and you're an immature person. It is more the fact that you're an immature person. Look, the only thing that I have in the past 5 or 6 years to go off of this is the Andrew Bynum situation in Cleveland. Because all reports that I saw after the fact why Andrew Bynum didn't end up on another NBA team was that he slept with one of the assistant coach's wives while he was in Cleveland. And he never played for another team again. Cleveland was that last shot. And then he wasted it. So I'm thinking, if this is real and Jimmy wants to stay, or at least is acting like, if I was Jimmy and I wanted to leave, I wouldn't have shown up to practice. Now, I know the NBA is a little different for the NFL when it comes to holdouts. Like contract holdouts aren't really a thing. And today is probably the longest you would have seen one go. Not contract holdout, but like trade holdout and stuff like that. Like, he doesn't really have any power in this situation.
Right.
So the NBA does a better job of holding the cards to where, really, when you think about it on the outside, the NBA is a more controlling body than the NFL. Like, Le'Veon Bell couldn't sit out for 8 weeks in the NBA. You know, or like, that just wouldn't work. Like,
those guys are also getting guaranteed contracts.
Right. And I was listening to like Jalen Rose at halftime, and he thinks tomorrow's fight day.
Oh.
Now, I know you said everybody's going to come in all, riled up and be excited about it, but I think there are going to be some people who that ruffled their feathers a little too much. And they're like, look, we've been here through training camp. We've been here doing this. And then this guy comes in here for one day, and that's the first time anybody's heard about our training camp. Like, that's probably going to rub some people the wrong way. Now, who it's going to rub the wrong way, I'm interested to see. Because I would love to see 7'1" Karl Anthony Towns take on 6'7" Jimmy Butler. I am there for that. I will build the octagon myself.
I'm taking Butler 10 times out of 10.
Oh, every time. Every time. Now, if Karl could get like one Leonidas kick to the chest in there, different story because he's a big dude. But I wouldn't catch Butler swinging. Like, I wouldn't like to catch that.
An interesting thing that I read today, I believe this was on the Rachel Nichols interview, but Butler pretty much came out and he was like, hey, listen, man, I'm not the most athletic person on the team. I don't have the most God-given talent on the team. I'm just a hard worker, man. If you ask me who's the most God-given talent player on the team, it's Andrew Wiggins. Who is the most talented player on the team? It's got to be Karl Anthony Towns. But I work hard and I play hard, and that's what I did today. Basically just saying he's an all-time competitor, and these guys were given everything, but they haven't taken what they need to take to take it.
And I love how he low-key calls out Tibbs, where he said, now I know Tibbs, and he might not have said anything to y'all, but he went into his office, closed the door, locked the door, and started laughing and loving it. Like, I can imagine Tibbs is that guy where Tibbs is back like, this is the most energy I've seen out of y'all since like the beginning of last year. And what's crazy is that this team is one of the greatest 2K teams you could probably put on paper. Like, which is crazy. That when you line up who's on this team, how old they are, 2 of them are about to enter their primes. Jimmy Butler is well into his prime.
Is Jamal Crawford still there?
Is he?
He might be. I know they got Jeff Teague running around there.
Well, Teague was part of that whole. Teague was going to be moved to the Suns if they had that. If the Suns were just sitting there like, can we please, sir, have a little bit of this trade magic? Can we just hop on a little bit of this? Just grab a quick little point guard. You know, we got Devin Booker over here, and we got DeAndre Ayton, but hey, we just need someone to pass the ball. Devin can't pass; he can just shoot.
Well, Jamal Crawford is officially still a free agent.
Still a free agent. Oh, right, because I heard the Warriors were looking to maybe snag him, but then the whole Boogie thing, Boogie took his contract. But, excuse me, what are you gonna do? That's the NBA today. But so, last point on this, and we'll see where you stand. We'll see where I stand. What do you think is the resolution to this whole situation?
I don't know. I mean, if the report that you read is true, if Butler really did pull a move on Cat's girlfriend, I think he's out for sure. If that is all
slid into the DMs, I believe that's the term.
If that is completely false, I could actually see Minnesota holding on to Butler until at least the trade deadline, if not through the entirety of the contract, depending on how the season goes.
So here's where we break. I don't see him making a decision to stay in Minnesota. So if you are the GM of the Minnesota Timberwolves, you're trying to move him, obviously. But I don't think you're getting what you want right now. So I loved what you were saying until letting him ride out the contract, because I don't think you ride out the contract, because then I think we get Dwight Howard 2.0. To where he's just going to go wherever he wants, ends up wherever he wants, and then Minnesota gets left when they put a big chunk of change into him. That's a heavy investment into that guy when you got a bunch of other young stars on the team, and you went after, and all Chicago got back in return was Chris Dunn and Zach LaVine. Now, they're playing great right now on ESPN, and the Bulls look like they're moving it, but So
you think for sure he wants out of Minnesota?
Yeah. Absolutely. Even in the way he was talking to that Rachel Nichols article, he was using very vague terms, but he was saying they know what I want, and then I've been told that they're doing their best to get me what I want. He wouldn't say I want to leave, but he says they know what I want right now, and they're trying to do their best.
See, this is the old adage where actions speak louder than words.
Exactly.
He did say some things in the interview that made you think he definitely wanted out, basically saying, do I think that this team can come together and overcome what's happened? Yes, they can, but probably not. That's what he said. But what he did on the court today, it really to me, it seems like he was trying to inspire the team. I don't know why you do that, and you put on that show and you go after the young studs who really haven't come into fruition, but they're getting all the money. But you just kind of hammer them and you say, hey, little man, I'm an NBA player. I've been at the top. Y'all just got here. How about you take a seat and learn for a little bit? I think he wants to stay. I think he wants to rebuild this team.
Well, let me clarify with this. It's definitely the best basketball situation in terms of the options that he supposedly has. If you go down to Miami, that's fine, and you're going to be the face of the franchise. And if that's what you want, that's where you need to go, because that's the most frugal market. You could go down there and become Miami. Ride with D Wade on his last year, learn something from D Wade, take a trip to the playoffs with somebody who has 3 rings. That's not a bad idea. But your starting lineup is Goran Dragic, Jimmy Butler, Justice Winslow. I don't even know who plays the 4 for them. I don't even know who plays the 4 for them. I know Whitesides is still playing the 5. I don't know who plays the 4.
Johnson plays the 5.
It could still be UD for all I know. UD could still be playing the 4.
I think he's the coach now. I think he retired. But James Johnson is playing the 4.
Okay.
I'm glad you brought that up, though, because that's another thing that makes me inclined to say that he actually wants to stay, and this is all
right.
A false
so
report.
So it's a split mind. It's his basketball mind is leaning, this is where I could play the best ball and have the best chance to win. But if your heart's not there, are you going to play your best basketball?
See, I think his heart is in wherever the hell he plays, which kind of showed today in practice. Like, guy is an ultimate competitor. He was not a high recruit going into college, and he was not a high prospect going into the NBA
at all.
And look what he's turned into. Like you said, a genuine top 25 player in the league. And he's been that way for about 6 years now.
5-6 years, yeah. I'd say about 5-6 years. Probably Derrick Rose's next to last year. He kind of comes up and plays some defense, and you look and you're like, oh, this guy plays defense, and that's hard to find in today's league.
And you're looking at all of his desired spots that came out in the report. Miami wasn't even on the initial list. It was Correct. Brooklyn, the Clippers, the Knicks. And was that it? Was there one more team on there?
So I would say the Knicks are out of it. The Knicks were in it when Kyrie's future in Boston was a little less certain. And now Kyrie's given Danny Ainge, I bet they probably went out to dinner or something, had some clam chowder, and discussed their future. Maybe Tom Brady came to the meeting. I don't know.
I'm sure.
TV went in and was like, dude, you can't go to New York after leaving Bob. Who do you think? You're not Babe Ruth. You can't do.
They probably got like David Ortiz in there too.
Of course. And side note, we'll get to the MLB later, but seeing A-Rod and David Ortiz in this baseball coverage has been like really early 2000s. Like,
I'm really so glad they're both on the same station.
Yeah, exactly. And now they're just like friends, just like sitting there talking smack as if they frenemies. That's the best word for it. But you look, so the whole Knicks thing, like, yeah, it's nice if Kyrie was going to be there, but now Kyrie's saying, I'm going to be in Boston. And if I'm Kyrie, hell yeah, I'm staying in Boston. I'm not leaving Boston ever. Like, I got Jason Tatum. I basically got mini Duke up there. We'll probably keep adding on some Duke boys. Like, we'll just keep on.
They're talking about getting Anthony Davis somehow.
If they get Anthony Davis, I've already planned out the trade in my mind. Because New Orleans needs two things. They need one more shooter, and they need a point guard. And I got both in Terry Rozier, whatever. Okay, you throw in Terry.
They need that attached with AD. They cannot let AD go.
You need Scary Terry, 2 first-round draft picks, and then another body. I don't care who it is. If you could throw them Jaylen Brown. Throw them Jaylen Brown. I don't care. Anthony Davis on that team would be terrifying. Kyrie, if you started Kyrie, Jason Tatum, Gordon Hayward, Anthony Davis, Al Horford, bye-bye East.
And, like, maybe you don't even start Horford. Maybe you bring him off the bench and you start Jaylen Brown again.
Right. That's a playoff move. That's your death line. You know, your death squad or whatever.
Death squad. There you go.
Your death squad. That's your lineup. You shift either Tatum or Hayward to the 4. Probably Tatum, but I need if Tatum wants to play some 4 and actually play some 4 and get in the paint. He needs to add like another 10, 15 pounds. Because he's still a little tiny. Still a little too tiny to be bouncing all around up in there.
Let's bring it just right back to Jimmy Butler here. Back to that list of, ideal situations that.
So bye-bye Knicks. That leaves Nets and Clippers.
Which are both horrible situations. Right. Horrible franchises with no future, no current, no present, no past.
And anything that you could get to go to that team would just drain that team of anything you wanted to play with in the first place. Because any reason you would want to go to those teams, they would have to give up to even get Jimmy Butler.
That's why I don't buy any of this. Miami is the only franchise listed that has like an actual organization. You know, you have Pat Riley there, but he's probably on his way out. He's at the very tail end of his career.
Jesus, Eric Spoelstra is like a veteran coach.
Yeah, he's got to be one of the longest tenured coaches now.
Oh man, just him.
I mean, Doc Rivers has been in the Clippers for a while. Rick Carlisle. He's probably actually
Rick Carlisle's probably the longest. Tenured. And then he would slide. You know, Spoelstra would slide in. Doc's been in the league the longest. Just I think
those are the three. Actually, I think Doc is third, Spoelstra is 2, and Rick Carlisle is 1. I remember looking this up last year and kind of being shocked at that being the longest tenured list. But I mean, the Heat are just another
layered season that we didn't know we were going to get.
That's why these last 2-3 years of the NBA have been amazing, because they always find a way to step in and break news when you least expect it.
Whether it's LeBron going to LA, which I still don't know what to think. I watched it. I watched preseason games, and I still don't know what to think. I think this Lakers team could be terrifying. I also think this Lakers team could go 42 and 38.
I mean, I think they're going to win 50 games.
They're over under. Do you know what their over under is? Because it's like perfect.
Is it like 48?
It's 48 and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're sitting there like, oh, I can't bet on this at all.
Do I think they'll get to 50 wins with their current lineup? Maybe not, but you know LeBron and Magic are going to pull some moves at the deadline.
And it could be for Jimmy Butler.
It could be for Jimmy Butler.
Not that they have assets, dude. Like, and I was listening today, Bill Simmons had Kevin O'Connor and Ryan Russillo on, and they were just talking MVP odds. And they turned it into a great conversation that I think we should try. It's your MVP candidates, and then what has to happen for each of these guys to win MVP. Because so odds on right now, LeBron's number 1, KD sliding in number 2, and that's in the GM poll. But in Vegas, it's LeBron into, I believe, Giannis, into AD, into James Harden. So James Harden winning the MVP last year is 4th betting favorite. So interesting that the thought was James Harden could perform the exact same season he did last year and not win MVP.
Which I agree with, because
right. And we've seen it.
Yeah, the precedent is once guys get their trophy, for the most part, they find a different guy the next year who, regardless on whether
to the voters, right? Like Russell Westbrook went 2 years in a row averaging a triple-double.
Yeah.
He averaged a triple-double. It got him MVP. He averaged a triple-double again, and then James Harden gets MVP. So you're just sitting there like.
Because they were looking like, well, Harden kind of deserved it the last year, maybe even the last 2 years.
There's more emotion in the MVP voting, and it has a lot to do with the story. So I think that when you look at LeBron, I think this Laker team has to at least get to the 4th seed. At least. If he makes the playoffs with them, that's an achievement. But if he starts peaking 4th seed, 3 seed, he might lock down the MVP. 4th seed, it's a conversation.
Yeah, I think if they win 50 games, it's his.
He's got to be in the conversation.
It's his to lose. Kind of how you said about it being more of an emotional award. I think that really restricts KD's efforts.
Right.
I don't think KD can win it with this Warriors team.
KD cannot win the MVP with Steph Curry on the same team.
Or KD
they kind of just even each other out.
A triple-double, lead the league in steals, just have like an astronomical year that you just.
Like he has to play that defense he played from December to February of last year when he realistically thought he could win Defensive Player of the Year and then realized there was no chance and then just kind of coasted. Because last year he went into this mode. I don't even know. It was like he realized he was like 7'9" worth of length.
Yeah.
And then was like, oh, I don't really have to stand that close to you. I can just put my long ass arm in your face and I got you. Like, but once he realizes his defensive capabilities, like Kerr's gonna bring that out of him. Mike Brown's gonna bring that out of him. And at least having the Warriors, they're so focused on offense and defense, it does nothing but benefit.
Yeah, and KD said it himself. I mean, he was kind of pissed off that he didn't make first team defense or all NBA defense.
Right.
But he said it himself. He's like, on this team, I'm going to look down at for joining this lineup and becoming a part of greatness. So I'm not going to get I'll get the MVP finals. I'll get the championship, but the other awards aren't going to come.
Right. So then you look at Anthony Davis. I think the Pelicans have to be the 4 seed. I think him, Mirotic, they just have to find some way. If they find some way to play at the end of the game together, that's the biggest problem there, is that your biggest signing that you brought in, Mirotic, is almost unplayable in the last 4 minutes of a game with Anthony Davis on the field.
And then they brought in Julius Randle.
Which makes no sense.
What are they doing?
It literally makes no sense. And Julius Randle is a 6'9" center. He's listed as a power forward center in fantasy basketball.
Let's just call him a rebounder.
I can play him at both positions.
He's just a rebounder.
He's amazing at. Like, don't get me wrong. He's a top 15 rebounder in the league. He has some drive and he has some motor that came out of Kentucky, that he had some chip on his shoulder that just never translated to offense.
He's like a younger Kenneth Faried, but he can run better and dribble. He has better handles
and knows basketball just a smidge better.
Well, there's the manimal in Faried. He just kind of turns off the human effect and just goes terror straight on the backboard.
Oh, I'm playing basketball? Oh. The Nuggets. Yo, okay. We're going to have to do a slimmed down version of our over-under show from last year because I can feel this slipping into just NBA. But the NFL has been on fire. Pull it up. I saw a tweet today from Adam Schefter, and it is going. This year is statistically just, if you like defense, you picked the wrong sport. Go watch some soccer. Like, if you're really looking for some defense, it's a low scoring, because this has turned into the exact opposite. Yeah. I think we have the most passing yards per here it is, right? Okay. Shefty said, close your eyes, defensive coaches and players. Since the 1970 merger, this year has had, through the first 5 weeks, the highest completion percentage by quarterbacks, 65% of passes. The most touchdown passes, 275. Highest touchdown percentage per play, 4.8. 4.8% of plays are touchdowns. That's a scary statistic. Highest TD to interception ratio, 1.95. And then the highest pass attempts per team per game at 36.6. Now, why do I bring this up, you ask? Because somebody has decided to take up residency in the AFC West that is causing pandemonium and riots in the streets. Patrick Mahomes is here.
That he is.
The guy has more rushing touchdowns than Kareem Hunt. There's no explaining this, right? Like, this is just like...
Well, does Kareem even have a rushing touchdown? I know he's caught a couple.
I honestly don't even know.
Yeah. Kareem's had a down year rushing the ball.
Yeah. He had 2 against San Francisco, 1 against Denver, 1 against Jacksonville.
This is Mahomes rushing?
No. This is Kareem's rushing. He had 16 attempts, 49 yards, week 1. No touchdowns. He didn't score a touchdown until week 3, which is... What? The guy was the leading rusher in the league last year. Well, that's a bloated award for last year because he went off at the beginning of the season.
Right. Remember when he did the first 2 weeks of the year? This guy shut it down.
You're right. And I don't know where, but the Chiefs' defense has vanished.
Until last week.
Until last week. It just seemed like this team that we were so used to seeing dominate one side of the ball and being able to control it. Now this offense, I think this defense is unprepared for how much time they are going to have to spend on the field because this offense is way so damn quickly. Just moving too quick. They don't have enough time to even recap what they probably did wrong.
They're rally killers.
Yeah, exactly. And they come out there and they're just like, it's weird that we're not talking about the Chiefs as the best team in the AFC, but people are picking the Chiefs to go to the Super Bowl. Top to bottom, they're not the best team, but they're scoring more points than people. And as Steve Spurrier once wisely said, well, you got to score more points than the other team to win the ball game. And as simple as that. So Andy Reid seems to have taken this on, quit caring about defense, all offense all the time.
I will say, while the Chiefs' defense from a yardage standpoint and at times a point standoff has been horrific, they surprisingly have the number 1 third down defense in the NFL.
That's impressive.
They get off the field when they get to third down.
That's the most important time. You got to be able to stop them on third down. And if they're doing that, that's giving the offense to come right back on the field. They're not allowing points. And then, boom, Mahomes down there. Yeah, give me the ball. Let me run it in. You want me to fake it off to Kareem? Yeah, sure. He can have it if he wants, but I'm just going to take it in because I'm 6'5", massive, and I'm just coming for it. But I see, right now it's the Chiefs for me. I can't even talk about the Ravens. I haven't been able to process.
It's going to be another great 8-8 season.
But the defense is so 12-4, and the offense is so 6-12.
But
6-10, 6-10.
The offense has been great, aside from the Cleveland game and the first half of Cincinnati. Every other game, they've been great. The defense was horrible against Cleveland.
They weren't ready. I don't know what they were ready for.
But Baker was throwing the ball all over the place. Carlos Hyde was getting holes. Duke Johnson was getting holes.
It was just a sad day. You hate. I do really appreciate CBS though, because they're still finding some ways to make the Browns trash. They lost it's been this many days since they won a game, and so they changed the statistic to this is how many Sundays in a row it's been since they won a game because their only win was on a Thursday. And I was like, oh, we're screwed. They got it. I'm glad somebody wasted their time on this graphic so it can never be used again.
Yeah.
So what are your impressions of the season? I mean, it's all over the place.
My impressions are I have no idea what the hell is going on. I have no idea who's good and who isn't. The Bills are 2-3. The Bills might be the very worst team in the NFL, and then randomly will put it on you. They beat the Vikings. They beat the Titans.
They shut out the Vikings.
They shut out. Actually, did they? I think the Vikings scored like a garbage time touchdown or something. I could be wrong, but then they get shut out by the Packers. They get blown out by the Ravens.
27-6. Yeah, 27-6.
I have no idea what this league is. The Raiders and Browns have been in virtually every game this year, yet the Browns are 2-2-1 and the Raiders are 1-4.
Raiders are in arguably a tougher division. Nobody's talking about the Chargers. The Chargers' offense is
nobody
if
ever
Mahomes wasn't there, we'd be talking about the Chargers.
Phil Rivers is balling.
Gordon
and Eckler are killing it.
Austin Eckler might be the only dude who's a backup back who's serviceable every week in fantasy football. He's a top 20 back as a number 2 running back on a squad.
The problem is that defense is horrendous, which nobody would have thought.
Right. They were one of the best defenses ever. Or not ever, but like in the last 3 years, they finally built it up to be worthy of the offense.
Without Joey Bosa, they can't get any pressure on the quarterback. I thought Melvin Ingram would be able to withstand it on his own, but I guess he does need somebody on the other side to help him out.
Joey might be that guy. If they waited out long enough, they could get Nick and Joey.
Oof, wouldn't that be interesting?
Dude, the defensive players coming into the league next year, Oliver is scary. He's terrifying.
Speaking of young defensive players,
right? Olivier Vernon.
How about Denzel Ward, cornerback for the Browns?
Oh, easily rookie of the year.
He's killing it.
If he's not, people aren't watching. The guy is making
shut down
cornerback plays 5 weeks into his career. He's taking on your number one guy, and for all accounts so far, he's locking down your number one guy.
John Brown has been setting the world ablaze, running past everyone.
Not Denzel Ward.
Denzel didn't let him get any over-the-top kind of catches. It was all underneath throws. It really limited the Ravens' offense, and I think that was the biggest key to the Browns, winning. Aside from Joe throwing a costly turnover at the 1 yard line, and then was it Buck? Yeah, Buck Allen, who never fumbles, happened to fumble.
All right, so this brings up an interesting topic. So I was offered a trade the other day.
Was it by Kevin?
Chick in the office.
Oh.
Her name's Francis, right?
Yeah.
Okay. She offered me Emmanuel Sanders for Jordan Howard straight up. Wasn't feeling it.
I wouldn't take
I wasn't feeling it.
In a year where the running back
and especially now in our keeper league.
Yeah, but is Jordan Howard really a keeper?
On my roster right now, I got Deshaun. He's staying. I got Zeke. He's staying. The only problem is my wide receivers. I can't make a decision between Diggs and AJ Green.
I'll just make the decision for you. You're going to hold on to Stephon Diggs.
Yeah. That's where I was leaning. But I'm still looking for my tight end. Evan Ingram has been a royal pain in my ass.
It's all right. That trade for us was horrible. both sides. I just cut Duke Johnson. Corey Davis has had one amazing game and then a bunch of really, really average games.
So really, we're looking at it like we both got a little side job on that one, and I think I'm winning the trade I made with Michael in terms of like just having Jordan Howard as opposed to him having Royce Freeman and Quincy Enunwa.
You pulled the Denver fanboy on him, and now he's stuck with essentially the backup running back,
which is roster-wise not true, but when it comes to game flow and game plan, he's the second option because Lindsey is actually performing.
Lindsey is so much more efficient. He's so much quicker. He's shiftier, and he can actually catch the ball. Royce can do none of those things besides run north-south in between the tackles.
And he's finding out quickly that the AFC West is not the Pac-12. Unfortunately for him and Denver and Michael's fantasy team. So right now, I'm blessed that Alfred Morris, I'm glad I picked that up, boy. Like 4 weeks ago, I was like, let me just snag Alfred Morris and just see if anything comes of this. And now I could have 3 to 4 weeks of a legit top 15 point, not talent-wise, obviously, but points and volume-wise out of Alfred Morris.
Well, for my sake, let's just say that Breda is just going to miss this one game because without his injury, he might have been steal of the draft.
Oh, absolutely. He was coming.
I snuck him. It might have been, I think it was the second to last round I got Matt Breda.
Trey Young just pulled up from 30 feet for a deep game winner. So good for Trey Young. But my team, I mean, I'm over here feeling like I'm the man. Like AJ Green comes out and even like 9 points was like his worst outing, and he didn't play the second half. The only problem I have with Diggs is that I'm just afraid that Kirk and Thielen are going to catch this feeling that I can't be stopped. Because Diggs is very hit or miss. Like he'll somehow sneak out without a touchdown, but the games he sneaks out without a touchdown, he has 11 to 12 receptions. And then the games that he gets a touchdown, he has like 6 receptions, but a bomb for a touchdown. So this week it's me versus Kevin.
Oh, well, the worst player in our fantasy football league.
Projections are 107, 106. I'm a 1-point favorite. We got Deshaun Watson versus Phillip Rivers. Zeke Elliott versus Chris Carson. Oh, boy.
Yikes.
Jordan Howard versus Sony Michel. Maybe in 2 years, that's a better conversation.
Well, we're both endlessly stupid to have traded Sony Michel for essentially nothing.
Yeah, essentially. I traded Sony Michel for a defense that's gotten me 0 points twice and Will Dissly, who's on IR. So, yeah. I'm the idiot. I'll take the L on that one. You got AJ Green versus DeAndre Hopkins, Stephon Diggs versus Alshon Jeffrey. Now, here's where my little sneak of the week. Uzoma out of Cincinnati. With Eifert going down, there's a lot of space in the middle. But hear me out. There's no one else. Because I tried to make a trade with Francis. I tried to flip it back. I tried to meet her needs because I noticed she needed a running back because she had J.J. out for the season. She had Corey Clement. She has Corey Clement on the roster. So I said, well, I'll send you. I said Tariq Cohen, Buck Allen, and Deshaun Jackson. What was it for Trey? I wanted Trey Burton, Austin Eckler, and that was it. Trying to give her some running backs. I need a tight end. I was just trying to skirt something. She declined it. It was.
I don't think I would have taken it.
I just need the. I'm trying to grasp the concept of tight end this year, and it's a wasteland.
Burton's a top 10 tight end, and that is so valuable in this league right now.
It's insane. Like
you're fine with Ingram though. He's gonna get.
But he's not playing.
He's gonna get healthy. You'll be fine.
That's my problem is that he hasn't been there for 3 weeks. So I've had Ben Watson. I don't even remember who I started 2 weeks ago, but it was just bad.
What you should have done is picked up Cameron Brate.
Yeah. Did someone snag him?
I don't think he's been available for a while, but now that Jameis is back, it's Brate City, baby.
Well, as we live find out if Cameron Brate is on this team. Because if we do, I'm adding him right now. Oh, well, would you just look at that? Oh, he is on... Who's BBS?
BBS.
Is that you?
Are you sure it's not BBR?
Oh, it's on... He's on Hunter's team. I might have to text Hunter. But, all right, so let's see. NFL's coming around. I mean, it's here. We're past the quarter mark of the season, which is crazy. Patrick Mahomes is odds-on MVP favorite at this point, barring getting shot. Like, he could go out there with maybe no left arm and still throw some numbers up. But baseball's been pretty interesting, hasn't it, Mr. Milwaukee Brewers?
Oh, it absolutely has, and we have the best 4 teams in Major League Baseball squaring off in the championship series.
Which doesn't happen very often.
I mean, you can't ask for more.
You need it. I love the Red Sox beating the Yankees. I'm all for that. Never been a big Yankees guy, ever.
Nobody likes the Yankees.
Nobody likes the Yankees. The Dodgers took my Braves to town, showed truly, and my only thing on the Braves is that I've said over this year, especially when it looked like we were going to win the East and when it looked like we knew we were going to win the East, I still kept saying this team is a year to 2 away from really, really being able to compete. You need at least one more pitcher who you pay to come in, not trade for him. You need to pay someone to come in here to stand along Tehran and throw and just be that dude. Like, you need that guy and a closer. You need one more starter and a real closer. And I'll tell you, the whole switch around started with trading Kimbrel. That was the real sign to Braves fans that whole era was done, and the only piece left is Freddie. But he's toughed it out, and now he's ready, and this team around him is ridiculously talented.
I think y'all actually set yourselves up by stealing my guys. You set yourself up for next season. Gosman will have a full year in camp. He was terrific for the Braves. Yes, they threw him out on short rest when he was supposed to start Game 4. Instead, they threw him out of the bullpen, and he did give up a couple runs in Game 3. Whatever. He pitched a sub-3 ERA for the Braves this year. He's probably going to be your ace next season. I don't foresee Anibal Sanchez putting together another year. He's also a free agent.
The Braves have a hard time keeping on to free agent pitchers, too.
You also
I don't know what that pitch is, but it hasn't been good.
You also have Brad Brock, who's also a free agent, but you could bring back for a reasonable price.
Right.
He can be your closer. He's much better in the setup role. The other guy you traded for from the Orioles, who all you did was give us a couple of cash, is the sidearm wheeler, the man with the stealer, Mr. Darren O'Day. He was out for the season, which is why all you had to give up was a little bit of international funds for him. He could be your closer next season. It could be between him and Brock. The other guy is going to be the setup guy.
I mean, do you remember a time, like, I don't know why, I remember seeing those Giants that we didn't grow up. I mean, we were in high school, so I guess our sports minds were being more developed. But I think we really saw how you run a bullpen from 2008 to 2012. When it came to Tim Lincecum, that guy went from coming in as a reliever to being the stud. And they just kept it going. They just kept bringing, like, oh, we got this guy. And they were like, who's this guy? Dennis, my stepdad, told me, oh, Madison Bumgarner. I'm like, who? Who's this guy? He's like, oh, just wait. You'll see. And he comes out, and you're like, oh, this dude is nasty. And they've just kept turning them. And we can say for the Giants, the pitching has sometimes been the problem, but it never has been. And it's just shown with the Red Sox, when your pitching is stable, and it's truly a stable. When your pitching is stable and you got a stable full of workhorse backs, and then feel like a stable of running backs.
Right.
But those dudes are there all the time. Like, who they got Sale, they got
David Price,
Porcello. What? Is this the AL All-Star roster? No, it's the Red Sox. Like,
they're starting pitching. It's between them and the Astros for who's left.
Oh, yeah, for sure. In terms of, like, deepest starters, I would take the Red Sox just slightly.
I probably would, too, because Sale might be the best pitcher in the majors right now.
Oh, he's dealing just disgusting games. Like, he's picking teams apart. And you're seeing it come through that these pitchers are making the biggest difference, because I'll tell you this, man, where you watch the AL wildcard game, when the A's brought in, I don't remember his name, but that pitcher, he came in with his hat sideways, and he only pitched 4 batters.
Yes.
It's over. It's done. If you have at any point a pitcher come out and not do his job, these teams remaining are going to eat you up, and they're going to put you in a hole that you can't pitch out of.
Well, that was the big question mark about that game, because the A's didn't put a starter out. They started in the bullpen. They played as if they were expecting to win the game so they could have their ace on the mound for game 1 of the ALDS. And it blew up in their face.
Every game. And when you're playing in the wild card, you have to play that game like it's your last game and deal with tomorrow.
It was a horrible mistake. You never start out in the bullpen like that.
Who made that call? Who do you think made that call? Was that a Billy call?
No, I do not think Billy has any interaction with what happens on game day.
Besides writing his elliptical.
Yeah.
So who's your pick? Who's taking it? And if it could be Milwaukee, man.
I think the championship, the World Series, is going to be Milwaukee versus the Astros. I think those
the Astros beat the Red Sox?
I think those are the 2 hottest teams in baseball right now. And it's all about getting hot at the right time. The old adage, all about getting hot at the right time. The Brewers are the hottest team in baseball right now. They look unstoppable. Christian Yelich, I have never seen a guy look as confident as he does at the plate. He does not move. If it's a ball, he does not flinch. He knows exactly where you're throwing. He knows the exact pitch that's coming out as soon as it leaves your fingers. And he knows, should I wait on this one or should I just go ahead and hit a crack shot home run and go ahead and break this game wide open?
It's like he's got it. He knows exactly what he's going to do to each pitch that's coming out, and
he looks unstoppable. Every game he's going 2 for 4, 3 for 5, a home run, 3 RBIs, a walk. Like they're deep. They're a very deep offensive team. They added guys at the deadline. They added Johnny Scope, who hasn't really come into fruition, but watch out for him. He can hit you deep at any pitch. You have Curtis Granderson, a vet, bringing that presence, a former Yankee. I believe he's won a World Series or 2. He's at least been.
Granderson's won 1 or 2.
And he's been to the playoffs a heck of a lot. He's not starting, but he's a utility outfielder for them. He's definitely going to get some at-bats. He might even get a start or 2. I think the Brewers can beat the Dodgers. Outside of Kershaw, I don't love the Dodgers starting pitchers. Rich Hill can give you something. Rue can give you something. I don't like them against this Brewers lineup. I think Milwaukee wins in 4 games, actually. I'm taking them in 4 games.
Over the Astros?
No, over the Dodgers to get to the World Series.
You pick the Astros to win the World Series, though? I mean, I know your paycheck comes from the Milwaukee Brewers organization, so I know
it actually does not. So I'm not technically employed. I'm just an affiliate, and it's turned me into a fan. They're definitely my second favorite team, and it's been a joy to watch.
They're your NL team. You can have an NL team. I have an AL team. The A's are my AL team.
Exactly, and to see all these former Shuckers who are just studs.
That's cool for you.
Orlando Arcia.
You know these guys. Like that's a cool thing to have.
It's pretty damn cool.
However, Duke. I like watching Duke basketball players go to the NBA, and then I just have this reason to root for them. But you have a real reason to actually root for these guys.
With all that being said, I think the Astros are going to defend their world title and go back to back.
Baseball is almost up there with basketball with how hard it is to repeat.
They're too damn good.
They are.
Starting pitching is amazing. They have a solid bullpen. And Alex Bregman and Altuve, Marwin Gonzalez, Correa, the list goes on and on.
Altuve gives 5'8" guys like me a good name.
I don't see you beating the Astros. And
the only team I can is the Red Sox, and that might be the greatest ALCS we've ever seen.
And it's going to be a rematch of last year's ALDS, and the Astros won in 4 games, and they were up 2-0. Sox won game 3, and then they were actually down in game 4, and then had a nice, pretty comeback victory.
Well, it's going to be close. I'd like to see the Red Sox go to the World Series. Not just saying that because I want to work for Bill Simmons in the Ringer. But definitely, I think the Red Sox have that mojo again. That 2004 got that feeling that they can do it, and beating the Yankees is the easiest way to make the Red Sox feel like they can do anything, especially in the playoffs. But I feel like Boston's their pitching's too much, at least for 3. It's going to come down to that 5th game pitching. It's going to be how deep they have to go. And if they can get a second wind out of that game 1 or game 2 starter, boy, it's going to be a great, great series.
That's going to be the difference, because
it's going to be who can go the furthest.
If Houston gets out on one of their starters, if they get Porcello or David Price, if they get one of those guys rattled and have to get out of there in 3 or 4 innings, and you start eating into that bullpen, which is very, very thin, may I add, I think it's a done deal. The Astros win. But if you're getting 7 strong innings from Sale, Porcello, Price. I don't even know who they throw out in the fourth game. Like Stephen Wright, is he their number 4 guy? And then you go back to Sale. If it goes 5, then I think the Red Sox are in business. So it's up to Houston to rattle the guys early because they can eat at that bullpen. And you saw with what Greg Kimbrell did in Game 4 of the ALDS, almost blew it. Almost completely blew that game for the Sox.
It makes me sad to talk about Craig Kimbrell. Like, real sad.
It's all right because you're in a much better current era now than you were back then. So be happy.
True.
There's a lot of good years to come from Atlanta Braves baseball.
Okay. So we're going to wrap it up, but I want to end on this. I read an interesting article today. So it looks like Joe Flacco's getting a little extra coaching than some of the other players for the Ravens. His wife seems to take issue with how he's lining up in his decoy wide receiver slots. Says he's standing around too much. He doesn't look like he knows what he's doing. Good for you. Good for you, Mrs. Flacco. Coming out, tell that man, bend over. Why don't you check the line? Why don't you look over at the ref and, point over at him, make sure, am I good here? Am I good here? Don't just stand there like a big zombie. If you want to sell this, and I'm about to ramble on this for a second. Raven staff, do me a favor. Quit running Lamar Jackson every time he comes in to the ball game. You're turning him into Tim Tebow on the New York Jets, and it's pissing me off.
I would say quit putting him in entirely because it's a drive killer.
I don't think so. I think there are situations where it works, and if you're going to sprinkle it in, you have to sprinkle in more passing plays. The guy can pass the ball.
Then take Joe off the field.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
but when they're both fighting. I think what the Ravens are doing is eventually they're going to set it up where Lamar is going to throw to Joe, and it's either going to be a backwards pass where Joe hits somebody, or it's going to be the old Flacco where he's outstretched arms catching the ball. And that's where him just standing around actually does benefit us because he's going to stand there.
Eventually, one time that play is going to pay off.
He's going to sit there for a little bit and then break out, and the defense isn't going to know what
what's that? What's our Pittsburgh games in like 3-4 weeks, right? The second one?
Ooh.
I can see it then. But
Lamar,
Lamar runs a quick cut to the right. Joe, that pulls. Okay, here's how I see the play in my mind. All right, Joe's over here. Lamar's here. I got JB over here. Lamar cuts. Joe comes back, flips off. So that pulls. That would pull probably the spy. The spy would trickle over. That leaves JB the space to cut up and soar to the corner, and Joe just has to throw a bomb down the end. Joe, just throw it as deep as you can down the sideline. We got you. And JB, Smoky Brown.
You're so right. Morningwig has to change this package up a little bit because it's like 95% of the time when Lamar's in at shotgun, he's running the QB power. There's no read. There's no jet sweep. Where's the action? Let's get the defense confused because right now they know, okay, Lamar's going to take it straight up the middle.
Boom. Right. And then the only other variation I've seen on the play is when it's not even a variation on the play. It's just Lamar being Lamar, reading the defense and knowing that he has to jet the other way and just try to get 3 yards out of it.
Right. It really is. It's 3 yards every time.
It's a 3-yard package, and it's...
We could get that with handing the ball off to Pat DeMarco. Or Pat Ricard, not DeMarco.
Don't
got my Gamecock and Raven ties mixed up a little bit.
Pat DeMarco teaching Hayden Hurst, little Gamecock to Gamecock.
Let's get Hayden Hurst back healthy and involved.
They're trying. He was out there. He's just
didn't get a catch.
And
I'm loving this Mark Andrews though, he did not get a catch, but he did get targeted downfield a few times.
He did. Was it a tip? Did he drop it? It might have just been a little overthrown. I remember the play, but it's
was a little bit high for him.
A little bit high, which is crazy because he's like 6'6".
Yeah.
He's just a big guy. So, all right, Layton, anything coming up this week that you're ready to see?
Obviously, we got the championship series and the MLB playoffs. They start tomorrow with the Dodgers and the Brewers. But you know what? Let's take it to our Gamecocks, man. I'm pretty excited to see how they fare against Texas A&M. Is Jake Bentley going to be back? Is he going to play? Do we hand the keys over to Michael Scarnecchia while Jake's still kind of trying to recover here? What do we do? This is going to be a real tough test against what a lot of analysts and people in college football believe to be the fourth best team in the SEC when it comes to Texas A&M. We got them at home this time. Let's take advantage. We need this W.
Don't forget what happened the last time at home.
I will never forget that.
That was the worst night ever.
That was one of my last home games at South Carolina. That was senior year, right? Or was that junior year?
That was junior. That was junior because that was when I was living at the Lofts, and when you peeked across that Lofts back parking lot, that sign that you would see when you came under the train tracks had that SEC Network game poster on it. And I remember walking to
that was the debut of the SEC Network. That was the first ever SEC Network game, and we invented Kenny Trill for Heisman.
God, I can't even. Oh, that game was just such a. God, that was a disaster. That whole game.
Defense needs to come out hot, and we need to get Debo and Brian the ball a lot.
And Ortre, Shy, they've been there, but Ortre's out for the year, right?
Yeah. I think it's some like congenital disease that he has.
It's weird.
It's tough.
Man, there was such high hopes for this season, not just from me, from us, just everyone. And then, man, I'm saying now I'm never going to work for ESPN. Man, fuck ESPN when it comes to talking about the Gamecocks, dude. Like, I cannot stand it. If it's not Dari Novak talking about us, it is either Pollock or Jesse Palmer tearing us a new one. Like when they all picked Missouri.
Good. I want them to.
Right, but it's just like
when like a few of them picked us to beat Georgia, we got steamrolled.
I think that was more of a lack of faith in Georgia than it was faith in us. And then Georgia proved themselves. And that, man, they just reload out there in Athens. And we're still trying to crack that formula.
It's crazy to say that a season was over and everything.
Oh, it was over
week
on the
2.
It was over on the first drive, right?
Yeah.
Like that's it.
Yeah, the pick six.
The pick six on the first drive. The season's over. Because your game plan for that game, you had to score first in some way, whether it's a field goal or a touchdown. You had to put yourself in some sort of advantage, but instead you threw a pick six and then had to go right back out there and just sucked. There's no other way around it. I don't know. T-Rob still hasn't taught some of these guys how to tackle. We're still missing tackles. It's like we lube up our gloves with coconut oil before we go play. Because no one can make the first tackle.
At least we're getting guys like J.C. Horn coming in as true freshmen, and hopefully Jam Williams will develop further.
Hey, Bryson Allen Williams having a nice, quiet, good year. He might sneak into that 6th, 7th round training camp, consideration.
Well, the dude is playing defensive end because of Wanham. So Wanham's out. So we got our best linebacker playing D end.
Which he didn't even start out as a linebacker.
He's like 30 pounds underweight to play.
Right, because he started out as a DB when he came in. And then we moved him into that spur position.
It's
and now
crazy.
He's unfortunately playing DN, but he's making moves to get to the quarterback. We just can't get him down.
Once Wanham returns, hopefully it's soon. I haven't read recently anything about him. But once Wanham returns and Bryson can go back to that spur position, I think we'll be okay. But alas, it is a lost season, but we can still get maybe 9-3.
Well,
you never know.
You never know. We could be bowl bound. We could not be. I think
it's very realistic that we don't make a bowl this year.
Or it's realistic that we go to some 6 shit bowl game and it's who knows?
Well,
I don't want to go to the Duck Commander Bowl, dude, and play like App State.
Well, unless we somehow beat Florida, Clemson, Texas A&M,
Tennessee.
Well, that's an easy victory. They're the worst team in the SEC.
And arguably so are we.
Well, we already hammered Vanderbilt, and there's no way in hell we would lose to Arkansas.
We'll beat Chattanooga, maybe. Who knows? And we didn't beat the Citadel. Remember that shit?
Okay, well, we also had no quarterback, and Sean Elliott was our head coach.
Oh, boy, Sean Elliott. Wasn't that like a great 3 weeks?
It was 1 week. He had one win, and then that was it.
It's like just that whole Spurrier leaving thing was just so interesting.
Was utter madness.
You'll never see anything like that again. Like that, if you want, they'll teach a class on ethics, sports ethics, and what not to do when you have a Hall of Famer coach. You don't just let him retire. Let him finish out the season. Like, come on, it's Steve Spurrier. It's not. I don't even know who else.
Well, we got a brighter future. Let's just think about the future. We're championship, baby. Keep up that recruiting trail. Spurs on.
Let's bolster the offensive line, all right? Let's travel out to Wisconsin. Let's grab some of these big old white boys, Cornhuskers, just Nebraska boys. Just bring them on in. Show them Southern, what's the barbecue joint we always went to? The one in 5 Points?
Southern Belly.
Southern Belly. Put them on some Southern Belly and that Wookiee.
Damn.
They'll be fine.
Use that right about now.
God, couldn't you, dude? Oh, what was that? 3 pieces of Texas toast with oh my God, 2 levels of barbecue on top. This show is not sponsored by Southern Belly, but shout out to Southern Belly. If they do want to come, this show will be sponsored by Southern Belly. I will make the graphic myself.
Open late, great for a date, Southern Belly.
Even if you just met her at Breakers 10 minutes ago.
Hey.
Well, we got through everything we wanted to talk about. We'll plan on a backdoor 3. We got the season starting on Tuesday, so maybe we can sneak something in, try to get a little preview up.
It's come upon us very quickly.
And boy, am I happy. God, I love the NBA. I'm so ready. I'm so ready. I'm just ready to watch because this whole season is going to be great. You got the Warriors coming back. You got the whole LeBron thing. You got the Celtics great again. And it's a proven fact when the Celtics and Lakers are good at basketball, the NBA benefits. And now you just got the Warriors also in there. Like now this third team exists, almost like the West Coast Bulls coming in to shake the whole tree. But we've been shaking. Oh boy, the Jazz. Like, don't sleep on adding Grayson Allen because the boys come out hot. Rudy Gobert might come out and play Defensive Player of the Year ball because he's sick and tired of people telling him he's not a top 5 center in the league when he is.
And Donovan Mitchell, the Spider-Man, is insane.
So I don't think I told you this. The last thing before we close, I did a fantasy basketball draft. Okay. I ended up with the first pick. You know who I took. I had to take Giannis. You have to take Giannis. Number one, you have to take
Durant, but I haven't played fantasy basketball in probably 10 years.
Okay. Second pick, Kyrie Irving. Then I had back-to-back picks. Donovan Mitchell. I got DeAndre Ayton. I got Will Barton. I think Will Barton is a sneaky fantasy player. That dude just scores.
Do you get like efficiency points? Because he's
you get this is head-to-head points per week.
Based on categories.
Yeah. Okay. So it'll
That's like fantasy baseball, which I love.
So then my bench, then the rest of my starting lineup, I got Elfrid Payton, TJ Warren, Dario Saric, Jared Allen, and Dwight Howard. And just hanging him in there.
We'll see how his ass is doing and his back.
Yeah. And then my bench, I got Colin Sexton, JJ Redick, and Joe Ingles. I'm a big Joe Ingles fan.
I like that Jarrett Allen pick you had there.
It's a sneaky because it was either him and then somebody took Mo Bamba like 2 picks before. And I think Mo Bamba's going to have a big year and people are going to slowly start talking about him. Not so much Orlando. I don't think Orlando's ready to come in yet and kind of make their presence felt. But Mo is going to come in and say, look, y'all, like, I'm here. Who else is coming?
Talk about sneaky dark horses that probably aren't going to make the playoffs, but will have a much better season. Dallas.
Oh, I love Luka Doncic.
I
love Luka Doncic.
Dennis Smith Jr.
DSJ. Are you kidding me?
That's going to be an exciting.
And Harrison Barnes can now finally fulfill his true role as the best third man on a basketball team of all time.
Who still gets paid like a number one?
Exactly. That dude is the Alex Moran of the NBA. He will just throw it in there and be like, we want to give you all of this responsibility. Are you sure you want to give me all this responsibility? Like, yes, we're very sure we want to give you all this.
Did you see me in the playoffs?
You really? You sure? You want a max contract? I mean, if you want to, like, that's fine. I mean, I'm telling you what you're going to get, but you want me? And now they finally added everybody. And DeAndre.
Yeah, this is
going to be a hell of a season.
The Western Conference is very interesting.
All right, Layton, last thing, I'm going to ask you one question. If you had to pick right now, one team's in the playoffs and the other team is not, New Orleans or Dallas?
Man, it's so hard to go against Anthony Davis, but I think losing not only Boogie, but losing Rondo, who was probably the biggest key to their playoff run last year, I think that does them in.
Conductor.
I would say the Mavericks have a better case to make the playoffs than the Pelicans do.
I agree. I just wanted to make sure that we were on the same page because that team is, I mean, they're sneaky. Like that's a sneaky 8 seed who could give the Warriors some real trouble. If they add a veteran at the trade deadline.
And Rick Carlisle is going to coach them boys up.
Rick Carlisle is
them boys ready.
Of the last 20 years. Easily.
Dirk might drop a rap song just to get everybody hype.
They might bring back Jason Kidd.
Wouldn't that be something? Let's bring back Mike Finley, too.
Is JJ Barea still play there? Wouldn't surprise me. Like, he's still on the roster.
He's their starting point guard. Like last year, he was.
Let's go!
And they had Raymond Felton, I believe, for a little bit last year. I think he's gone now. And Devin Harris. They had just all these old vets who were really good like a decade ago.
Like 71s in 2K. Like they just filled out. Like, grabbed like all the 70 point guards. Like, oh yeah, these guys are real good like 10 years ago. Might as well grab Ty Lawson while you were at it.
Yeah, they got the top guys in free agency after the fantasy draft.
Exactly. Well, guys, thanks for the one person who popped into viewing. Everyone else, we're going to share this. We're going to send it all out over the place. I'm making stuff over Trident, 10 Live. Find us on Facebook. Here, Consistently Inconsistent, Backdoor 3. Layton, you're still at Layton Markwood.
Always will be.
And I'm always at _C Morris. This has been Consistently Inconsistent Sports Podcast. And we'll see you later.
Salute.
Adios.